Our next team took a motion-first approach to design and coding. They wanted to identify an aspect of something we'd all go through when we're dealing with music and bring that into sort of the digital age. In the process of doing that, they discovered a lot of interesting technical challenges, things like marrying view systems. So without giving away too much more of the project, if you want to start it off, go right ahead.
Hello, my name is Drew Slattery. This is Joe Angelino, Ben Gu, and Justin Zhou, and we are the developers of an app called Attitune. Attitune takes the subjective qualities of music, such as whether a song is happy or sad or easy to dance to, and turns it into objective points of data. We then make this data accessible to users as expressive and interactive visualizations. So to show you some of the cool things you can do with Attitune, here's Joey with a run-through of the app.
Thanks, Drew. So when you reach the home page, you're presented with two distinct options. You can either go to the compare section, where you can contrast your favorite artists, albums, or songs against one another to find out, which are the most energetic, emotional, or danceable tunes that you know. So as you make your selections, either by choosing individual songs or full albums, a visualization which you can interact with renders, and you can organize that data by selecting different kinds of data points and hovering over to find out more information. And we also thought that emotion is a great basis to build a playlist. So if you go to our create section, you can do just that. As you add tracks to your playlist, a timeline appears showing the tracks in the order that you added them, and it's each level of sentiment, giving you a feel for the emotional roller coaster that your playlist provides, per se. When a user is satisfied with that playlist, they can then post it to their own Spotify account. And now I'll pass it off to Ben, who'll talk about our user profile.
Thanks, Joey. Once you've made a playlist to your liking, you can see what it looks like visually on your profile page by clicking on the name of that playlist. This will cause the chart to render with the sentiment of each song in the playlist based on the order of when they were added. You can also look at already existing playlists you have on Spotify by clicking on the names of those. The second and the third charts that we have on this profile page are based off of your most recently listened to songs. The second chart shows your current login, your prior login, and the averages of all the users and compares them. The last chart shows your entire logging history and shows how sentiment has changed over that period of time. We made these charts using two different React D3 frameworks with the purpose of allowing users to get a visualization of their musical preferences and to be able to compare that with other users in an interactive manner. And now we will have Justin to talk about our back-end challenges.
Thanks, Ben. So when we first began working with Spotify's API, we ran into a number of challenges regarding the authorization process, namely Spotify's requirement that with each additional action or each different action or request the user might have, you need a different authorization token. And so this can quickly get complicated. And the way, I guess an example, let's say a user wanted to look at their profile first. They would get one particular token. And then let's say they wanted to look at their playlist instead. They would need an entirely different token, authorization token, to get them into that particular functionality. So the way we ended up solving this particular challenge was building a middleware route that would basically centralize all requests and then request for one singular universal authorization token at the very beginning when the user logs in. We would then store this token and then make it available for the user to query whenever they next made a request. So this is how we ended up solving this particular authorization issue, and this is where Drew's going to take it off and talk about challenges with D3.
Thanks, Justin. So our main challenge on the front end side of things was getting D3 to work well with React. D3 and React both try and do very similar things because they directly manipulate the DOM and add elements as things change. However, D3 has no awareness of React lifecycle components. So as the state changes and React generates things and takes things off the DOM, D3 may be trying to add things to places that don't exist currently. The way we worked around this was to pare D3 down to just use it to manipulate data mathematically. This allows us to render custom SVG components as the data is passed through the Redux store, making our charts interactive and more accessible to users. So thank you very much. This has been Attitune. We invite you to come interact with our apps and build your own emotional profile at attitune.herokuapp.com.
So if Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory were ever to take up DJing, I think this would be exactly the app that he would dream of. And so I just love the data-driven look on something that's so fun and exciting as music, and I think they really pulled it off.
Yeah, I think there's a great blog post there too about how D3 and React interact. It's I see a lot of confusion about that even in the community, how those two things should do. So I think using D3 as kind of the awareness of what should be there and then React to render it is a pretty clever solution.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting challenge, and they solved it themselves. They didn't, we didn't solve it for them. So kudos to them on that.